Hi, I'm Natalie and I'm an English teacher and a linguist. In this video, I'm going to share the secret tips which will help you learn a foreign language even if you don't have anyone to practice it with. So grab your cup of tea or coffee and let's start. There are two groups of people, perhaps three, when it comes to learning languages. The first group desires to learn a language but lacks the self-discipline necessary to study independently. They prefer to study with a tutor or attend language school. The second group consists of people who are enthusiastic about learning language and prefer to study independently. And the third group has no interest in learning a language, and they are unmotivated to do anything connected with languages. If you're in the first or in the second group, I think this video will be beneficial for you. I'd like to begin with the example. Imagine a fisherman, let's call him Alex, who doesn't know why he is going fishing and what's the purpose of that fishing. So he'll just sit and do nothing, and he won't even try to catch a fish. The same is with learning any language. If you're going to learn a language from scratch, or if you're somewhere in the middle of your journey, you should identify your goals. Why do you need this language and what results do you want to achieve? Don't just write, I want to have B1 level in French in a year. Be more precise. For example, my aim is to be able to communicate with people on topics like traveling, hobby, food, shopping, and so on. So in a year, I will be able to cope with most of the situations that might arise on a trip where I need French. When I started learning Spanish, I clearly understood that I didn't need this language for my academic purposes. I just wanted to learn this language to communicate with people. So I created a study plan which you can see on your screen. As I was an elementary Spanish student, I thought that in 6 months the ideal results for me will be to be able to speak about my daily routine, hobbies, food, traveling, to be able to have conversations in a supermarket and restaurant, to be able to understand the past tense, pretérito imperfecto, future tense, futuro de indicativo, and know the difference between pretérito indefinido and pretérito imperfecto. Around 20 lessons were required to achieve that goal. I found a well-organized beginner's textbook and workbook with audio recordings and started my learning process. As I was working and getting my master's degree, I had limited time on weekdays. That's why I studied Spanish only at weekends. In my schedule, I have 2 1.5-hour lessons. It meant that approximately in 3 months I could achieve the set aim. But there are often bumps in the road. Sometimes I couldn't allocate time to practice Spanish because I had to write my master's thesis, or I just was too tired to do anything and wanted just to lie on my sofa. Well, don't blame me as if you weren't in the same situation. Besides, from time to time I needed more time for some topics than I had planned, and that too prolonged the learning process. Again, imagine the fisherman who has been fishing for 1 hour but haven't caught any fish. What advice would you give him? Of course, change his strategy, or at least change the bait. And voila, here's his first catch. So if you see that you cannot reach your goal, modify your plan, add some extra lessons, adjust your approach. So be flexible and stay motivated. Speaking of motivation, everyone knows that being motivated makes tasks easier to accomplish. Looking at myself and my students, at the very beginning we always feel motivated and inspired, but over time our motivation decreases. When I was working at university, I noticed that in September, almost every student in my group was eager to study. They did their homework, prepared for seminars, and I myself was inspired to conduct lessons. But around November, I saw that some of the students became inactive and stayed silent during our classes. At first, I thought that it was connected with the academic load at university, as they had a lot of lectures, seminars. They came at 8:15 and left the university at 3 p.m. or even later. But then I decided to ask them personally, what was the matter? Why were they so passive? The answer was that they didn't understand why they needed stylistics and theory of English grammar. Their major was pedagogy, and after graduating they were going to teach English at schools. I remember how one of my students asked me, why do you need to memorize all those grammar terms and their definitions? Do children need to know that it's compound verbal modal predicate and not compound nominal predicate? Why do we have to study stylistic devices and explain the stylistic function of metaphors, litotes, hyperboles? in the sentences. And here I was a bit, or maybe not even a bit, shocked. They were third-year students and asked me such kind of questions. Wasn't it clear at the very beginning? But being a teacher is more than just conducting lessons. You should also be a good psychologist and, what's more, inspirer. So on the following lesson, I decided to illustrate how they could apply the learned material practically, and that it wasn't boring unnecessary terms. They could use them in their future while teaching children, obviously with some modifications and interaction. By saying that, I want you to understand that it is essential to have a goal and know why you're doing this to stay motivated. So again, our fisherman, Alex, knows how to fish, but he doesn't know where to use the caught fish. Let's show him that he can cook a finger-licking good dish. Now our fisherman is more motivated than before, as he can make use out of it. And in case you feel that you're losing your motivation, look at the goal and imagine that you've already achieved it. Try to feel the emotions that overwhelm you and continue learning. Learning languages requires a significant investment of time and effort, which can lead to burnout. That is why I truly believe that it's extremely important to monitor your progress. I made it my habit to write down my progress in the notebook. How many words I learned last week, what grammar rules and topics I revised, and so on. Doing this allows me to see how far I've come and identify areas where I still need improvement. For example, on the previous lessons I practiced listening actively and didn't read anything in Spanish, so this week I have to pay more attention to reading. By tracking my progress, I also adjust learning strategies. Besides, it can help me stay motivated and focused. So keep tabs on your progress and don't lose your motivation. Learning a language can be a long and quite challenging process. When you're studying on your own, you should find suitable materials which correspond to your level, and what's more, they have to be interesting. You need to find textbooks, books, songs, videos that are to your liking, so that when you read, listen or watch, you would get pleasure from what you're doing. From my own experience, I see that when I tried to read text about agriculture or politics in German, in the middle of the text I was ready to close the page and finish my lesson. And I did so, as there wasn't any teacher who would tell me, go back to your reading and do exercises. I understood that I would never use those terms, and the articles I read weren't relevant to my life. Seeing no results, I decided to find articles on linguistics and psychology instead. And you know what? I spent reading even more time than I had planned. If you're an IT specialist or a doctor, read articles related to your professional sphere in the language you're learning. By finding gripping materials that match your interests and learning goals, you can personalize your language learning experience and make it more relevant to your life. You might ask me, Natalie, how can I read such an article in English if I have B1 level? Well, it's simple. Just copy and paste the text of the article you want to read in ChatGPT and set the task. Adapt the text for B1 level, and it will simplify the text. Great, isn't it? When you're interested in the material, you're more likely to stay focused and committed to the learning process. There may be few opportunities to use the language in real-life situations. Not everyone can afford to fly to the US or the UK to practice English, attend language classes in France, or spend a year in Spain. It's quite challenging to achieve fluency without speaking in real life. Becoming an advanced speaker in any language involves not just understanding grammar or vocabulary, but also using the language. Reading books, listening to podcasts, watching videos can help you understand that language, but speaking is essential. But how can you become fluent without tutors, without spending much money? Well, there are some ways. Let's go back to the fisherman. He has a fishing rod and a bait, but he isn't good at fishing. So what should he do? Definitely, our fisherman should go fishing and try to catch some fish. When I was learning German, I felt that I needed more speaking practice, so I decided to join a speaking club. I knew a lot of words, but I couldn't use them in real-life situations, and communicating with other people helped me turn my passive vocabulary into active. If you're an introvert or too shy to speak, you can try to use language learning apps. There are many apps that offer speaking practice exercises and allow you to record your voice and get feedback on your pronunciation. But what really helped me boost my speaking skills was retelling. This helps me practice using new words, grammar structures, sentence patterns. I can retell text while I'm cooking or cleaning my flat, so I can save my time significantly. Retelling text helps us build confidence. As you practice and improve your language skills, you will feel more confident about communicating in the target language. But if you want to practice English with me, use the link to my Instagram in the description below and write to me. And remember, learning languages requires discipline, practice, and persistence. So don't give up, you can do everything. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video, bye!